Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Sales with Brendan McAdams, me, and Andy Black. Today we're chatting about why founders, developers, creators, and anyone who thinks they can't sell should learn how to sell. In particular, we're going to cover why the right mindset is important. We're going to talk about how to get started selling and why you shouldn't wait. If you find these episodes worthwhile and useful, please share them with others that you think might benefit. And if you have a suggestion for an upcoming episode or a topic, please let us know. Let's get started.
So, Brendan, what should we chat about today?
I think we should talk about people that are in the business and don't don't like sales. They talk about how they hate sales. It gets on Twitter a lot. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit like maths. People like to hate maths. People like to hate sales as well. It is strange,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. So okay, we were chatting before. Why do you think it's like particularly important, like this, 2021 and going forward?
This is the whole gig economy thing. I mean, we're seeing it now really explode in terms of so many people are going out and they're either going out and becoming their own employee, they're starting their own business, or they're doing something on the side that's significant enough that it could be really meaningful for their life. And it could really change their economic status, their career path, those sorts of things. And so fundamental to all that is I think you have to know how to sell.
Yeah. And examples off the top of my head, I know people doing what I do, like digital marketing consultants,
Yeah.
freelancers, web developers, graphic designers, all those kind of online businesses. And then obviously there's all the technical founders, all those techies who are building, they're great at software, building products. Are they as good at selling it and creating products that people will buy in the first place? There's loads of people with skills who can get hired for those skills or who can use those skills to create products that other people will buy. And I find that a lot of people spend a lot of time building stuff because they're comfortable doing it. Engineers are
Yeah.
comfortable building things, as we talked about this before, like hiding behind the computer screen or rearranging pixels rather than getting out there and engaging the market and speaking to
Yeah.
people and making sales. I do think a lot of people hate sales, proud to admit they hate sales, but
Yeah.
also a lot of people think that salespeople are born and not made. I'm an introvert, so I can't do sales. What do you think about that?
Oh, well, I have a definitive position on this, and that is that I think sales is a skill. I think it's a craft. I think it's something that you learn and you get better at. I don't think you're born a salesperson necessarily. I think some people are introverted, some people are extroverted, and I think you can be either and be effective.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, your book is called Salescraft as well. I like
It
it.
is.
I like the
Yeah,
word craft.
it is. I love it. Yeah. It
It-
it it implies a dedication to something. Like it's not something you just pick up. You're making an investment. You're constantly learning. That's what I think of when I think of a craft.
yeah. Well, and when I think of a craftsman, I think of somebody who's not just skilled at it, but enjoys it and takes real pride in what
Yeah.
they produce and is trying to
Yes.
get better and be the best they can be at it. And
Yeah.
also that there's more to it than just a few skills, actually. You
Yeah.
practice it and put it into practice. So for these technical people who believe they're not great at sales,
Yeah.
how do you help them? Do you end up conversing with lots of people like that on Twitter or
Yeah.
wherever?
Yeah. In fact, the other day I had this like a long back and forth with a number of technical people who are on this one thread that talking about how much they hated sales. They didn't like doing it. And I have this kind of rather tough love version. That is, if you're out building stuff and you're not selling it, it's a hobby. It's not a business. If you're not selling things, it's a hobby. Because if you don't generate revenue, that's all it is. So I think it's important for people to understand that they can be good at sales and they should be good at sales. The challenge is they've kind of gotten themselves in a mindset that sales is sleazy, it's manipulative, and you're basically convincing someone to do something they don't want to do. In most B2B sales, that's not the case at all.
Yeah. So and that's probably why they hate it. They say they hate sales is
Yeah.
because they're imagining, no disrespect to any used car salespeople, but
Yeah.
everyone uses that example. Somebody who's trying to sell something, convince somebody, put them under pressure, all this sort of stuff, or even going door to door, thinking of cold calling, door to
Yeah.
door. And
Yeah.
yes, I would hate to do that. Like, I'm an ex-IT guy,
Yeah.
technical kind of techie dude. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I'm particularly introverted, but that just doesn't appeal to me. Or making millions of cold calls, that kind of sales. I think maybe people have this, that they've in their head, that's what a salesperson is. They have
Yeah.
that vision from movies or whatever it is,
Yeah.
that, and then
Certainly.
they go, well, that's not me. I would hate to
Yeah.
be doing that.
Yeah.
I would hate to be doing that, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's what sales is anyway.
No, and it's certainly not in a B2B setting. You're trying to solve a very specific problem oftentimes, or a series of problems. There's a fair amount of thought and strategy and understanding that has to go into that process. I don't think you can effectively, certainly over any long term, fool people into buying something that they don't need and it doesn't work. And I don't think you really want to do that anyway.
Yeah. And I actually think most people are pretty good at selling already. They just don't know that that's what
Yeah.
they're doing. They
Yeah.
just haven't defined it that way. So if we're in the pub having a drink and everyone's saying, well, should we go to the Chinese to get food afterward, or go, and
Yeah.
I want to go for a pizza, then I'm going to try and convince people,
Yeah.
the word convince, but I'm going to like put forward my case for
Yeah.
going to have a pizza, or get my kids to brush their teeth every night before they go
Yeah.
to bed. To me, I feel that's a bit of a sales process in some ways.
So much of sales is mindset. Like, how do you approach the situation? And if you think of it in terms of, I'm trying to coerce someone into some decision, then yeah, you're going to have resistance and you're not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be for most people, that's not going to be the sort of thing that's going to be satisfying. But if you look at it from the standpoint of, like, I am solving a problem, I'm helping someone solve a problem. You always say this, right? You're helping people, right? Like, you want to find ways to help people. And if you're really genuinely in a situation where you're in a conversation with someone where you can help them solve a problem, you should embrace that. And if that's your mindset, oh, I'm helping someone, you're actually doing them a favor. If you're able to sell someone something that makes their life better, you probably shouldn't be resistant to that.
What do you think are the building blocks that most adults, or even teenagers, they already have skills, they already
Yeah.
have life experience that they can just build on? They just don't
Right.
realize that those are skills and things that they can just bring to the table when they're meeting people and helping them.
Well, with staying with technical people that are resistant to selling, at a very basic level, they know the product, they know their thing, their solution cold. They know what it does. They understand it. They're the expert in that. So that should give them some level of confidence. The other building blocks to me are, one is curiosity. If you're eager to, and a lot of technical people, a lot of developers, creators, they're already wired this way anyway. And that is, they want to figure out a way to solve a problem. That's why they built the tool in the first place, ostensibly, or that's why they created the thing they created, was to solve a problem, to fulfill some objective. So you've got a level of curiosity and a problem solving skill right there. Those are good salespeople. That's what they're good at. They're curious. They want to learn, and they want to figure out a way to solve a problem. And a good salesperson is going to sit there and find out if they can help solve that problem. And if they can, they're going to figure out a way to do it, and then communicate that in some effective way that hopefully resonates with the customer, with the prospect, and they come to the conclusion that, oh, there's a fit. If the salesperson figures out, oh, my tool doesn't do this, it doesn't do what they need, they should walk away politely, of course, but or they ideally they'll say, you know what, my stuff doesn't do this, or we can't solve this problem, we're just not there, or that's not our approach, or that's not what we're focused on, but you might try these guys or this company, and then let me know how it goes, or I'll introduce you and I'll send a note to them, and then move on. Right? I mean, so much of good selling is time management.
Yeah, I think, and also getting your goal right. Like, so if your goal is to help the person in front of you, and you realize that your product or service isn't ideal, but somebody else's is, then it makes absolute sense to go, you know what, I don't think we're the best fit for you, but those guys up the road are. Whereas if you're going in and your goal is to convince this person to buy, you're not necessarily going to serve them the best, which won't serve you the best either in the long run. You'll take your business off, direction that shouldn't be going,
Yeah.
serving people that shouldn't be serving.
So you asked about other building blocks or skills, and there are a bunch of them that most people probably have in their back pocket already. They do. They're, you show up on time. There are a bunch of those little things like a certain attention to detail. Developers, technical people, creators have that. These are things that you should leverage: the curiosity, follow up, being process oriented. Technical people, developers tend to be process oriented. They think in terms of steps. Boom, boom, boom. You got to do this, this, this. These things all benefit you in sales.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you should remind me. I think it was Dan Sullivan. He's a business coach, quite a famous
Yeah.
one, I think.
Yeah.
And he says, what makes you referable? There's 4 things that make you referable.
Yeah.
1, you turn up on time, which
Yep.
you've said as well.
Yep.
2, you say please and thank you. You've got manners.
Yep. Right.
3, you do what you said you were going to do,
Yep.
or you let them know
Yep.
you keep
Yep.
them in the loop if something's.
Yep.
And then 4, you're good at what you do. So
Yep.
the 4th one is that you're good at what you do. And I'm bringing that up for those people who are trying to sell something and they don't feel they're good enough, an expert
Yeah.
enough at web development or graphic design. You know what? That folks want to hire somebody who's a problem solver and will figure it out and
Yeah.
get it to happen. But the
Yeah.
most important ones is that you showed up on time, you
Yeah.
got manners, you
Yeah.
send the email when you said you're going to send the email, all that kind of stuff. The last part, they often will trust you to just figure it out and come up with
Right.
a solution. Often, I'm
And
not saying all the time.
oftentimes that's what that technical person is good at anyway. They're good at what they do. They just don't want to sell it. There's a certain kind of modesty that they have to get over. One of the ways to get around that is not to brag about yourself, but to show people your skills in some way. Graphic designers have a portfolio. We had this kind of quasi argument the other day about you were helping this guy and I was telling you should charge him and you were giving him all this free advice, but it was your way of showing, hey, I know what I'm doing. Here's what I do. And you were basically giving him all sorts of consulting advice for free with the understanding that that was sort of a way to convey to him, hey, I'm good at what I do, without coming out and just showing rather than telling.
Yeah, show, don't tell. I love just tell stories.
Yeah.
I used to do that in IT interviews. They'd ask something.
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head. It might be like, are you good under pressure? So you just tell a story. Oh, yeah, well, we went to the south of France on a motorbike trip and somebody fell over and we had to sort this and had to sort that. And it was to get the ferry back. You tell the story and that shows it. And also the beauty of telling a story is they'll remember the story when all the other candidates are going on. They remember, oh, that lad who fell off his motorbike or whatever. I also find that technical people, not only, some believe they're good enough and they don't know how to portray that, feeling like they're bragging, but a lot of technical people will go hide in the books a little bit. They think they need to learn a bit more before they're good enough. So, oh no. To go out, before I go out and sell, I better go and get this course and this certification, get to this level before I can actually go and speak to people. I need to make sure I understand not just WordPress, but the server and all that stuff. And you know what? That person out there, you're doing them a disservice by not helping them with the knowledge you already have.
Some of the stuff you can't know until you talk to these customers, and having the conversation with customers is going to get you practice and more experience. And so it's a little painful in the beginning, but you still have to do it. I was thinking about this in a slightly different way, and that is a lot of technical people, a lot of creators, developers want to have the full product before they start. I'm going to build it, and once it launches, then I'm going to go out and sell. And that is, at least in my experience, death.
Yeah.
You can't wait to sell. When you decide you have an idea, that's when you should be out selling, when you have the idea. So many people are afraid, I can't do it because I don't want to tell people because it's top secret and it's super great. But most of the time you want to sell as soon as you can, because you have to get feedback from people. You have to practice your pitch. You have to understand what people want. You have to find out where your assumptions are wrong. And these are all kind of sales skills. And so, these non-sales salespeople, founders and technical people and developers, they have to get out and sell early.
Yeah.
You don't wait until it's time to launch.
Yeah, actually, I think that's exactly the same point. I was talking about the people who provide a service. They think they need to be the full product. I need to know all these skills and have all these before I can go out and sell. It's the same. Yeah, there's people selling a product. It has to have everything, and before I can talk to anyone. And I think we mentioned this in probably episode 1, that procrastination, perfectionism, they're all the same thing. They're all
Yes.
fear of shipping, fear of
Yeah.
engaging the market,
That's right.
because
Yeah.
you fear you're not good enough, or your product's not good enough. But honestly, it won't get good enough until you engage the market.
You can literally start by finding someone that has a problem and saying, hey, I'll do it for you for pennies on the dollar, and basically get paid something to get trained in the thing that you ultimately want to learn to sell, right? I mean, that's really the way you should go about it. The way to start a business these days, I think, is certainly one way is you go out and do a side hustle kind of thing. Find someone that has a problem that you're interested in solving, learn how to sell it, learn how to solve it with them, and say, hey, if I solve it, you should pay me something. And, and this is how much you should pay me. And if I don't solve it, then obviously I can't charge you. But if I do solve it, I want to get paid. And you do that once or twice, and hey, you got revenue, now you have experience, and you got a reference. Those are all the things you need. That's the social proof. That's the revenue.
I think people starting out might be scared of charging when they haven't got the skills or ever done it before. And there is a proven path. We don't actually have to, maybe for the first one. When I got started with Google Ads, I just looked around. Actually, I wasn't thinking of doing Google Ads. I just wanted to learn how to build I wanted to be able to build websites, not learn how to build websites.
Yeah.
And I looked around at all the people I knew in my network, and there was a friend, he was an electrician, that the business was the economy had tanked in 2009. He had to hand his van back. So I was like, okay, I will build you a website. So he bit my hand off down to my ankle. And before I knew it, like, an AdWords voucher fell out of a book because I was reading up on SEO.
Yeah.
That's how I fell into it. And I did that for free for a friend. And that got me my first case study, my story, my founding. I can tell people that story, and I have been for like 11, 12 years. And then I picked up another person, like his uncle was a builder. So I started with him. And then once I got to, I, as a technical person, have the confidence the knowledge that I can actually do this and can make it work. I'm going to charge somebody, and I charge low, and then my prices have gone up ever since. As my confidence is increased from the results that I've been getting, but it's from the results, not from going on a course and getting a certification or whatever.
Yeah, and the only thing I would argue with there is that I would say I would figure out a way to determine what was the value that accrued by the work that you did. The wrinkle there is it's a friend, and so you don't want to charge a friend. At some point, you know how much value you're generating, and if you're generating X value, then you should get some percentage of that. And you very quickly figure out how much you're doing benefits their business, and charging a fraction of that, some significant fraction perhaps, that's what you have to get good at. That's the sale right there. That's selling. Yeah. That's all it is, right? If you know that this is the mindset thing going back. If I know that I'm doing something for you that gets you $10,000 worth of value, I should be able to charge you $2,000 to do it, or $3,000. And if it's $10,000 once, maybe I only get to charge you $3,000 or $5,000. But if you're getting to $10,000 every month in new revenue, you might be able to charge a whole lot more than $10,000 for that service. And that's kind of the simple math that is sales.
Yeah. I think that's a whole show episode talking about pricing and how to use that and come up with it and everything. I know, as a technical person, as a techie, that who knows a lot of techies, including my own developer, who's a freelancer, and I try and help him with just little tips that have helped me. And one line that helped him, Blaze Brosnan line, of course, dropping him in every episode. He just said once that sales is a screening process, which I think I mentioned before. But what my developer said was that just took all the weight off his shoulders. He was like, oh, I'm no longer intimidated by sales. It's a screening process. I'm not supposed to close or make a sale every time. So that was one thing that helped him. And I'm bringing this up because he was a technical person, and maybe it would help other technical people. So I'm the guy who runs the Google Ads campaigns. I build them. I'm in the weeds doing it. When I talk to the business owner, they can tell that I'm a guy who does that. So that is one of my advantages.
Yeah.
When I'm selling it versus, say, a salesperson in a marketing agency who doesn't actually do the work and they're selling, right? So I do have an advantage if I can figure out the sales part as well. And I liken it in my own head as you might go into a car dealership to buy a car,
Yeah.
and you've got the guys in the white shirts and ties and the suits, and they're talking to you about the car.
Yeah.
If I go in with my car and I've got a problem with my car, and somebody goes out, somebody comes out to talk to me, I want it to be the guy in the blue overalls with the oil who knows. If you dealt with the mechanic and he says, you know what, you got to think, you need to change this. You could live with that for a little while. That one, you just get secondhand. For some reason, I just trust there.
Yeah. That's the technical guy or gal, whomever that developer, that creator, they're the people in the overalls that come out, they meet you on the Zoom call or in a meeting or on a phone call and say, oh, here's what you need.
I tell people to sort of not ham it up, but don't try and hide your little quirks that you are maybe shy or maybe this.
Right.
It's obvious you're a technical person.
Yeah.
Don't try to be a polished something or other that in your head you think you might have to be. Just be yourself, and actually that will, often it's endearing or whatever. I'm just trying to encourage people who might feel shy and I'm too technical or whatever. No, I often ham it up. Like if somebody I'm talking to, they go, oh, we need this, I will go, the standard sales advice might be to be quiet and shut up and not give the solution or whatever. I'll be super excited. Oh, you could try this, you could try that, you could give away loads of stuff. Wow, this guy's passionate about it. He knows his stuff. I'd love to have him in my corner, kind of thing. So that's how me as a technical person, I kind of lean into it a little bit and turn it to my advantage.
Ultimately, I think most people, if you come to someone with a solution, they want someone to do it for them most of the time. They're happy to hire that person to do it. If you have a product and your product does it, we go back to it's time. It's the importance of time. If I can get a problem solved today and move on to the next thing, and you can prove to me that you can solve that problem, and the problem is big enough, important enough that it warrants being solved, then I'll pay you to solve it. Yeah, that's all it is. That's what sales is.
It is. Yeah. So to wrap up, techies, introverted, all those people who put those labels on themselves, they can also do sales as well. We
could talk about this for a long time, but yes, that's good. I'm sure we'll circle back to this one again, I'm sure.
Definitely. Yeah, we can deep dive into various bits of it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brendan.
Good. Well, all right. Thank you for listening or watching. And we hope you found that episode useful. And if you did, please share it with anyone you think might benefit. And again, I'd love it if you'd give us a review or feedback at letschat.sales.com, and also stop by that site to check out new episodes and to sign up for our newsletter and stay updated on the latest info, freebies, and episodes. So thanks for listening, and catch you next time.